Michigan State football is favored this weekend. How does that even make sense? Well, we're going to answer it and talk about this MSU Colorado basketball game. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans. It's your team in green and white 5 days a week. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below. If you're as shocked as I am that Michigan State is favored this upcoming Saturday, we're going to make sense of it all here in the first segment. Then get to know Michigan State's newest running back commit for the 2025 class, and then joined by, yes, Michigan State basketball icon Conor George to talk about this MSU Colorado game, Maui Invitational. It's going to be a fun show here. Let's get right into it because, guys, after that great, outstanding, clean victory against Purdue, I was having a chat with some friends. And we were talking about what's the spread for this Rutgers-Michigan State game going to be this upcoming Saturday. And we had guesses ranging from anywhere from my guess of Rutgers by 2.5 points, all the way to, I had a buddy say that they were going to be favored by 8 whopping points. That's how little that he's been thinking about Michigan State. Nevertheless, we're not gambling experts, apparently, because the line comes out on Sunday morning, and I was right. It was 2.5. For Michigan State being favored, though, it was like I did a hard double take so aggressively that I almost broke my neck clean in half when I saw the number. Because no, guys, Michigan State's having quite the season, I guess. You know, many of us expected a season like this to be fighting for bowl eligibility in the last week of the season. I was a tinge higher on the Spartans, but nevertheless, look, their over/under win total was 4.5. This was a season to be expected. Still, doesn't make it any easier to watch week in and week out because, in the last 8 games, they've had 2 wins. How is a team favored just like that? The last win against the probably worst Power 4 football team was so graphic and so gross, they gave it a TVMA rating on it on Fox Sports. It was disgusting. We all saw it. And MSU is a flawed team, of course. And, well, of course, you add in the injuries. It's not a perfect science either, but I'll just throw it out there. Why not? Let's use the transitive property. All right, our game against Illinois, not great. Kind of got steamrolled there, especially in the second half. Rutgers' game against Illinois, well, save for a horrible coaching gaffe at the end of the game, they could have won that game. Rutgers looked a lot better against Illinois than, well, our Michigan State Spartans did. So, guys, we're going to answer the question, how on earth is Michigan State favored this upcoming Saturday? Because I can't believe it. But we're going to try to make sense of this because we dug up some numbers, we dug up some stats, or just some anecdotes, too, about this game that might give us reason why Michigan State at this point is now slight 1.5-point favorites. Open up at 2.5, now just 1.5. Still a coin toss, but I'm shocked that Vegas is giving the edge to the Spartans here. And before, I throw a bunch of numbers and a bunch of stats your way, let's say something about the schedule here. We all know Michigan State, very hard schedule. Now, on the contrary, the heavy contrary, Rutgers' schedule, okay, they avoided Ohio State. They avoided Oregon. They avoided Penn State. They avoided Indiana. Somehow they avoided all top 4 Big Ten teams. Whereas Michigan State, we've played 3 of those 4 teams. Rutgers also has just 2 wins against winning teams. That even includes their non-conference opponents. They beat 6-5 Washington a while back, and then they also beat Minnesota, both those teams sitting at 6-5. So when we say a bunch of stats coming up, well, these stats are coming against pretty easy, relatively speaking, pretty easy competition for Rutgers. Like, let's look at Michigan State's flaws and see how, Rutgers can counteract those. Because, Michigan State's got a few flaws, so let's just list them right now. Number 1, top of the list, pass protection, protecting Aiden Childs. Now, Michigan State did pretty decent last week, okay? They just allowed 12 pressures. They gave up 2 sacks, yes. But the week prior against Illinois, they gave up 33 pressures against the Fighting Illini. Now, Rutgers, their pass rush, they have 18 sacks on the season. That's as many as Michigan State has, which is 98th in the country. It's not good. It's not good. So, outside of just sacks, though, that's not the only way you can disrupt the quarterback. Of course, just pressuring them Well, that says a lot about your pass rush. They're about average in the Big Ten right now, 157 pressures on the season so far. Now, Michigan State's run offense, it's not the biggest weakness in the world. It's very hit and miss. We've seen a lot more miss than hit. It was decent enough against Purdue last Friday, but right now, hey guys, Rutgers. Rutgers is giving up 4.9 yards per carry on the ground. That is second worst in the Big Ten. Now, who are they ahead of? Well, it's Purdue. Somehow Purdue is even worse than that. And also specifically, Rutgers kind of struggles so far this year against a running dual threat quarterback. Just last week, just for a small sample size last week, they gave up 7.8 yards on 10 carries to Luke Altmaier. All right, so Aiden Childs, we got one more regular season game of using your legs. Get ready to use them, Buster, because that's going to be probably a key to the victory coming up right here, damaging the Scarlet Knights on the ground, which is something that they have been doing so far this season, getting damaged. Now, let's flip sides of the ball for where Michigan State is flawed, right? Because, rushing the passer has been pretty much horrendous for that 6-game stretch where they went without a sack, okay? They broke that streak last week. As we all know, they got a few sacks, actually, against Hudson Card and those Boilermakers, but they also had to blitz 23 times to do it last game. All right, gone are the days where Joe Rossi thinks he could just skate by with a 4-man rush. No. We're sending the house on a lot of these plays, okay? Now, Rutgers, they've just allowed 16 sacks on the season. That's top 40 in the country. I'm not saying it's outstanding, but it is above average in pass protection. Now, we're going to say something about blitzing here in a little bit, but I also think it's very, very rational to point this out, too. The secondary for Michigan State, they could be starting you. Yes, you, the listener, this weekend. They are bruised. They are battered. They are down horrendous. Last week, they were down Chuck Brantley, Armarion Smith, Caleb Coley, Dylan Tatum, Chance Rucker, Malik Spencer. And, guys, I forgot to mention Khalil Najid's name, too. He was early exit in the season. That's 7 guys on your 2 deep that they're missing in the secondary. Okay, so look, are any Rutgers wide receivers spectacular? No, but do you have to be against this inexperience and this battered of a secondary? No, quite frankly, you don't. But let's blend the last 2 points together. The pass rush, the blitzing, the secondary inexperience, because I think Rossi cranked up the pressure last week, the blitzes last week, well, because he knew that he had freshmen out there, fighting for their lives. They can't cover. We don't even know if they could cover a receiver for 3 seconds, let alone 7 seconds. So, yes, it was time to finally start bringing the blitz. Well, Athan Kaliak-Manis, he's Rutgers quarterback, transferred there from Minnesota last year. Right now, just no blitzes, no pressure or anything. Second lowest completion percentage in the Big Ten at 54.5%. Now, when he is blitzed, that completion percentage drops to 49%. And that's not even all the blitzes that get home. That's not to say every quarterback struggles against the blitz. Like, guys, for example, our guy Aiden Childs, well, he actually goes above his average when he's blitzed. He completes passes at a 63% completion, whereas, just normally he's at 59. So that just even frenzying a quarterback like Athan Kaliak-Manis, that drops him down big time. Now, let's say the blitz actually gets home. You actually do put some pressure on this young man, and, well, it goes down to 40% completion percentage. I know it's a lot of numbers, but the point is that, yes, I expect Michigan State to crank up the blitzes, something they have not done a lot this season until very recently. Second half against Illinois, the whole game against Purdue. Continue that trend. And I'm going to go out of pocket right now. Kaliak-Manis, going back to his time at Minnesota and whenever I've watched Rutgers this year, he's one of the worst Division I quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. Now, me saying that out loud, I know full well he's going to throw for 380 yards and 4 touchdowns this weekend. We just jinxed the crap out of that, but it's not a great passing threat over there. Just a few more points too. Michigan State obviously flawed because we like to turn the ball over. Despite the last 2 games, actually. I wonder if that's going to swing the other way. Rutgers +3 in turnover margin on the season. Not extraordinary. They've only nabbed 11 turnovers so far. They've turned the ball over just 8 times themselves this season. And I was also wondering, well, do they have major injury issues coming up on the horizon? There's one position group that has been really, really beaten down, and it's their tight end position. They are down their first 4 tight ends. Right now, they are starting a true freshman tight end. They're starting to change up their offensive line just in case one of them has to go into play backup tight end. It's that. And guys, if you want something that's even not quantifiable or anything whatsoever, this is just vibes right here. If you want something on top of that, Rutgers is already in the barn for bowl eligibility. They already have their 6 wins. All right. Hungry dogs run faster. Well, let's hope Michigan State is inspired enough, if not for nothing else, on senior day to get that 6th win and break this bowlless streak. So there you have it right there. We're going to get to Michigan State's newest running back commit and then talk about this basketball game. But first, need to talk all your ears off about Gametime, the greatest ticketing app out there, guys. If you're looking to get into Spartan Stadium this Saturday, well, I'll tell you the best place to find it. Yeah, it's Gametime. It's just that simple. Or, hey, let's say you're in the Detroit area. You want to go to the Thanksgiving Showdown, Bears, Lions, guys. Any ticketed event, whether it's sporting event, concert, comedy show, you could find it on Gametime. You could also save a bunch of money beforehand with their flash deals, find great seats for a great value. Or, you know, let's say Thanksgiving, you wake up and you're not feeling it that day. You're like, I don't really want to see any family member, but I'm going to walk up to Ford Field with no tickets in hand. Well, with the last-minute ticket deals at Gametime, yes, you could also save big with great seats, even a little after kickoff, guys. They hook it up. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? You already know it. It is Gametime. All right, guys. So before getting to Michigan State's latest commit for the 2025 class, really quick, I do want to mention Jonathan Smith at his media availability said that Jack Velling is doing great. Obviously, he was carted off the field on Friday. He went to the hospital to get his extremities looked at. Jonathan Smith said as much. He cleared all evaluations. He was in team meetings today and over the weekend, and he could play this weekend. So just keep an eye on that for Jack Velling. But good to hear that everything is going well, because that was a scary situation. The trainer's running out to him as he's lying on the field and both throwing up the X immediately, and the cart was out there just like that. So in happier news, other than borderline season-ending injuries, Michigan State 2025 class, they get another running back commit. This is Zion Gist out of Illinois, 6 foot, 200-pound running back, just how Michigan State likes them, or just how Jonathan Smith, Brian Linger, and Keith Banafa like their running backs. All right, a lot of meat on them, a lot of bulk, a lot of strength. So he was committed to Western Michigan, but that's right, just one weekend in East Lansing last weekend on an official visit. That's enough to change the kid's mind. Now, he is the second and a half running back commit of this class. Obviously, we have Jase Richardson, highly rated 3-star kid, or 4-star, depending on what recruiting site you look at. He's committed to Michigan State right now. Obviously, also visited Bama recently, so the hay's not completely in the barn there. But where I say second and a half, Bryson Williams out of Orchard Lake St. Mary's, he's that half guy because he could play receiver, running back. He could park cars outside the stadium. This kid is a do-it-all, all-purpose kind of guy. So that's where we're at right now for the running back room. Now, will this impact Jase Richardson's commitment? Look, if he does go to Bama, I don't think it's because, well, they got this Zion Gist kid, or Zion Gist. Sorry, I got to learn if it's Gist or Gist. I'll apologize for that. But no, if he goes to Bama, I think it's because, well, Bama wanted him. Maybe a competitive NIL package was in the mix. I don't think it's because he would feel that he was recruited over by bringing him on. They both have different running styles. Jase is more of the speed back kind of guy, and Gist is kind of like a bowling ball. Really good at also catching the ball in space. I will say that about Gist too. But there you have it, how it impacts Jase. Look, that's not to say Jase is for sure going to sign at Michigan State while he still is committed. I just don't think something like this would be the reason things changed. For recruiting, keep an eye on Terrence Deuce Edwards. He's a West Virginia secondary commit right now, cousin of Felton Davis. So a little MSU connection right there. And then another secondary player, Cairo Skanes. He is committed to Miami of Ohio. He's visiting Duke as well in the middle of this week. And then another big school possibly on deck after that. So that's your recruiting update right now. The 2025 class sits at 16 kids, still ranked 58th. Right now, Gist is the lowest rated kid in the class. At this point, you're just trying to fill out the class to get above 20 kids too. So that's the 411 on recruiting. Obviously, we'll talk more about it as signing day is approaching. But let's get to this basketball game. I will say this, I'm recording this portion of this episode before the game happened. So, which we can only assume Michigan State won, right? They always do well in their first game in Maui. But yes, joined by guest Conor George. Let's get to him right now. 72-56, Michigan State winning on the lovely islands of Hawaii. Here to talk about it is a man who's been there in Lahaina Civic Center himself. It is Michigan State basketball icon Conor George. Conor, I'm close to saying, because the way they won this game, Michigan State back, maybe. How close are you to say Michigan State basketball is back? Just let's just get it started here.
We're almost there. I think that it's in the right. We're going the right direction, I would say. It looks more promising than years past. Let's just say that. So we're on the right track, I think.
It's physical. It's transition basketball. It is absolutely being rude, mean bullies on the glass. They out-rebounded Colorado 42-29. They set the tone early, 22-12 in the first half. So if they beat Memphis, if they win this whole Maui Invitational, I'm not even going to wear this Hawaiian shirt, Conor. I'm just going to be dead shirtless on here. We are inching our way to being back still. But Conor, I want to blend season-long storylines, as you know, we're only a handful of games in, but with things that happened tonight. And I'm going to ask you a question. 4 choices here, Conor. What has impressed you the most this whole season about this basketball team? Because, well, Jaxon Kohler's development in the offseason, okay. Now, he's had 4 points today, but also 7 rebounds. He attacked it early in this game. Is it B, the emergence of Jase Richardson, who had 13 points on 6 of 8 shooting? Or is it C, Coen Carr growing to be more than just a dunk artist out there? I mean, he had 8 points, 4-4 shooting, a nice little back-to-the-basket hook shot, slicing through the lane as he is now. Or, Conor, is it D? Is there someone else that's even impressing you more than any of those 3 this season? What's your answer here?
That's tough. Obviously the bigs have gotten a lot better. And that's good because that's been struggling. We've been struggling in that position in the last couple of years, right? And I think that all of them have elevated their game. And Zapala, even, he's a big boy that can hang with those other big guys, right? Like we would always play Purdue, and it looks like, you know, we always looked way undersized. And when we got matched up against that team that has that dominant big, you know, obviously, we had one game earlier where Hunter Dickinson kind of went off, but I think overall it looks a lot better in that position. Jase Richardson has been very impressive to me.
Incredible, yeah.
You know, I knew he was going to be good. Everyone talked about him, but he's emerging as kind of that guy, and we need that guy right now. That guy who can go get you a bucket, and he's doing it in different ways. He's getting to the basket. Obviously, he is using that left hand pretty frequently, but the fact that he's getting there, and that's on everyone's scouting report. Yeah. He's still using that left hand, and he's still getting to the rim, and he's attacking downhill, and he's actually been one of our best, most efficient shooters every single game. So Jase, I got to go with him. He's looking good. He's elevating our whole game.
I'm going to go with that too. I think right behind him, this is no disrespect to Jaxon Kohler. He's had an incredible junior season so far. All things considered, with the injuries and the adversity that he's had. Coen Carr, he's backing someone down to the lane, and then he goes up for the hook shot. I'm like, bro, what are we doing? We're doing. You're actually doing it, Coen. That was really smooth. Actually, this is great. We've gone so far than just like the circus act last year. This is incredible. Yeah. So these guys are all bench players too, which is amazing. It speaks volumes to how deep this team actually is, and we kind of joked about it going in here. It's like, yeah, hey, this is a deep team. That might not mean that there's, overwhelming talent individually, but hey, strength in numbers works, man. Like, this is a bench that rolls deep in this game. So I think it's okay that there might not be an alpha on this team so far. I know we're just 6 games in, one can emerge, but I don't know. Do you feel like that we're okay with how things are shaping up to be?
Absolutely. I was gonna use that as option E, right? As how deep we are. And a lot of people, we're spreading the wealth, right? So it's one game. I mean, Jaden, who's supposed to be that guy for us, right? At the start of the year, that's supposed to be our player. He has 4 points tonight, didn't shoot it well, hasn't shot it well yet, but we're still able to win by 17, 18 points versus a Colorado team that's supposed to be pretty good. They're 4-0, right? So they struggled a little bit. They turned the ball over. Credit to our defense. Our defense was really good, but we're so deep and so many different players can beat you. And when we're playing well and we're getting out in transition and we're getting easy layups, Fears just going coast to coast, hitting layups, hitting some shots, feeding Coen, full court lobs. that's MSU basketball right there. Like you said, rebound, run, defend. Those are the three things that we got to focus on, and we're doing a damn good job right now.
I just felt like I was back in a time machine 10 years ago, just watching like this is MSU basketball that's purest form right now. I know we're 6 games into the season. Sure, we get a little ahead of our skis sometimes on the show, but like it just visually, it looks outstanding. There is one thing that does not look good though, and it's the shooting.
Come on,
I want to start. Connor, can you get in there and help these guys? You know what? During this break, call some people, see if you can get on the staff, see if you can get on the next jet to Maui to help these guys learn how to shoot a basketball. But in the meantime, you need to talk everyone's ears off about FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, we just burnt the whole first segment talking about this football game. Michigan State's favored. We talked about maybe why that makes sense. If you're still not sold completely on that, we'll go ahead and get in on the action over at FanDuel. You already know that you can get in on the action for the game against Memphis coming up, and because it's feast week. They're going to take care of you during feast week and also during this NFL season at America's #1 sportsbook. We're talking FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to all in one place to place live bets in the NFL. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now let's drag him back out here. This is who you came for, everyone. Conor George, Spartan icon. And look, Conor, I know that like you weren't a starter at Michigan State, you didn't play a lot, but surely you could help this team shoot the basketball because not to talk about this after every single show, but here we are again, 2 of 21 in this game on maybe the softest rims in the northern hemisphere of the entire world. That's even more puzzling to me. Because I said, finally, you know what? Hey, you're going to get to the Civic Center rims. They haven't been changed in 15 years. You're going to make some shots. They're not, Conor. Are we hitting the panic button right now, or can you just skate by being a fast break team? You know, by being a in the paint team. It's bad, but should I be panicking, Conor?
I'm panicking.
Okay, so that gives us the green light for sure. Then, okay,
it's not good, right? I mean, I know I know we can shoot the ball, right? It's just we can't consistently go 2 for like this is not the first time this year, unfortunately, that we're shooting below 10% from 3, and we're taking a good amount of threes, right? So I'm a little nervous. I know we can shoot the ball, but I don't know why we're not, right? We're getting good looks, we're getting good kickouts, getting good open shots for 3. It's not like we're taking pounding, shooting last second, on the shot clock for threes. These are threes that these guys have been shooting their whole life, and that's why they're here. That's why we have them, because they're able to make those shots. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in practice. I need to go to a practice. Let's go.
Like, not to just say it's mental in a blanket statement and just say it for no reason, but I truly think there is something mental about this because look, oftentimes the free throw percentage matches a 3-point percentage somewhat. Like if you're good at a free throw shooting as a team, like Michigan State is, 80.9%, that's top 15 in the nation.
Yeah,
they should be shooting 20% from 3, which is 3rd worst in the nation. And also, let's just go down this super quick. Like Jaden Akins, he's not going to shoot 21% the entire season. Frankie Fiddler, he's not going to shoot 15%. Jaxon Kohler, I think he'll go above 20%. Trey Holloman, a guy that was 43% last year, he's at 19% right now. Xavier Booker at 20%. Look, I went into the season saying that 3-point shooting is going to be an issue. Never did I think it'd be 20%. So I think it is mental. As a former player yourself, Conor, does that make sense that it can be mental, that it can get contagious, or takes inside of an actual locker room as a former player yourself?
Yeah, no, it definitely does, right? Izzo's looking at the stats. He's going over the stats every single game, like post game, and he's just looking at it. He's like, I already know how the locker room is. When he's looking at that, he's like, guys, what are we doing? Like, we're getting good shots, and I know
they are. Right.
He's looking at the stats, and he's just sitting there, and he's like, what, guys? What are we doing? Shoot the ball. Like, I know that's what's going on, but the more times it happens in a row, right? Everyone's starting to freak out, and they're like, why are we not hitting these? It's going to take that one game, and I don't think who did we play two games ago where we shot at 30%? We all were like, hallelujah, right? We need one
Samford,
of these games.
that's right. Samford or Bowling Green, yeah.
And
Good times.
that was the best game that we've played all year from beyond the line. It was 30%, right? And we're all like, if we can just shoot like this, we will be good. If we do shoot 30%, we'll be a good team, right? But it's going to take that one game that we're shooting like 50 to 60%, that everyone's just getting on track. Izzo's happy once you're in the locker room, and everyone just takes a big sigh of relief and just like, all right, we did it. We crossed that bridge. Now let's just go play our game, play basketball. But I think it's once they get that one game, I'm hoping that it just continues to trend up. But it is contagious. Everyone's thinking about it. It's the elephant in the room that everyone knows about, that when you get an open shot, you're like, do not miss this. Please do not miss this.
Yeah.
I don't need anyone chewing me out for missing a wide open three, But yeah, hopefully we can get over that.
Aikens had a thing last year where like he couldn't make a wide open three to save his life, but if he had someone coming at his face at 40 miles an hour, he would cash that every time. So I
don't think about it.
Exactly. Maybe they just need to drop some tough 3-pointers. That I mean, it makes no sense, but we're done making sense of 3-point shooting because it's officially a thing now this season. But before we go to the next topic, that was a great Izzo, by the way. I got to say that a great impersonation. That was
nice. Come on, Frankie.
That's dynamite. All right, one day we're gonna have you on this show. We're gonna black out the screen, and I'm just gonna act like, hey, we finally did it, guys. We finally got Tom Izzo on this show, and we'll just knock out 30 minutes like that. We'll spend a little time on Memphis right now. I do want to get to just more of the Maui experience from the player's point of view here from you, Connor. But really quick, hey, we're the third worst 3-point shooting team in the nation. Memphis is the second best. They are shooting the rock at 47.9% from three. Of course, that cannot be sustained the entire season. I'm praying to God that, tomorrow at 6 p.m. is finally when things start to come down a little bit for them. But they are top 10 in free throw rate. They are very good at shooting free throws, and they're very good at getting to the line. Connor, what's the thing that you want to see the most right now? Really quick, I want to see Jeremy Fears be a little more calm, cool, collected than he was against Samford. Memphis, they do have athletes on that wing. They do bring some tempo. I want to see Fears a little more settled down. But from you, what is the one thing you're looking for at 6 p.m. against those Memphis Tigers that downed UConn today?
Yeah, I want to see it's going to be another test of the bigs, right? Is what we said earlier kind of a fact? Like, are we there? Because Colorado was a little bit smaller, but do we have that presence? Memphis does have a couple big boys, and I know they have one guy coming off the bench that's 280 pounds, right? We don't have anyone over 250. So, can we contain these bigs, right? And then can our defense stay sound against the 3-point shot, because they can hit shots. I saw the second half of the UConn game, so I missed the first half, but I haven't seen much of them. I know they can shoot that thing. So is our defense going to stay sound? Are our bigs going to play well? And can we get something out of Jeremy Fears, and hopefully Frankie Fiddler can hit more than just free throws, right? And I know he's a good player and he's more than capable of it, but I want to see a Fiddler breakout game, because we got to get his confidence up if we want to be successful. Otherwise, it's maybe we bring Jase into the starting lineup, and have him coming off the bench and get settled, because right now it doesn't look like Frankie's very settled. He came in versus a 2-3 zone today and looked a little bit more aggressive, but we got to get him going, or else maybe Jase has to come in. But that's what I want to see. I want to see the Frankie Fiddler, legend game coming tomorrow. But
I love that. No, that's great. And really quick before we just ask a few questions about your experience in Maui, there's something that happened in that UConn Memphis game, and for those that missed it, tie game, 40 seconds left, ticky-tack call on Memphis. They're in the double bonus. They're going to the line for 2 free throws anyway. Dan Hurley absolutely obliterates the ref to no end, to the point where the ref had no choice but to tee him up. Now, Connor, maybe we look at it differently as fans, but I, for one, when I watch my television, I see Izzo as a fiery guy. I'm sure you've seen this a few times where, he's starting to boil over, might be getting a little too on edge with the ref. As a player on the bench, do you ever, want to get up and say, Coach, you got to calm down right now before you cost us 4 free throws? I know it's a specific instance, but, have you ever just on the bench had to, get up and be like, Coach, not now. Not when the game's on the line right now.
Definitely we've had to compose him. And that's mainly out of timeouts. If there's a timeout and there was a bad call that was just called, and he that's when he's like, all right, I don't have a coach's box. I'm going out to half court, and we're just hey, chill. Let's get in the huddle. Let's run a play. You know what I'm saying? Let's get locked in. But we had a lot of those moments where we had to restrain that man. That like please chill out. We do not need 2 free throws and just the momentum swing. That's what it was today in the UConn
Yeah.
game. It was huge.
Oh, it was the game. Yeah, Memphis had 4 straight free throws in a tie game with 40 seconds left, and that was it. So I'm watching Hurley melt down. It's like, these players got to want to tackle him right now.
That was wild. That was wild. Yeah, I don't know how they didn't contain him. Assistant coaches, I think the assistant coaches tried to, and he was like, no. He just went back at the official.
Wave him off. He went ISO with the ref, and that was that. Look, it was a soft call, but we got to know the situation. What am I doing? I'm telling the back-to-back national title coach how to coach his team, but like we do have to settle down.
That was a little crazy though. That was crazy. He did cost them that game, unfortunately. At the end,
he did.
Could have been avoided, right? Just maybe a little bit, but not much.
Maybe. How cool is it being a Maui as a player? Or Connor, is it kind of like too business trip, and is it like too glamorized to really say like, no, it actually is like 10 out of 10 awesome? Like I always do wonder that the split between work and play when you guys are over there.
Yeah, so that was my favorite tournament of all time.
Okay.
Like, just like it was the most fun thing. Oh, I'll get to why it wasn't as much fun in a second.
Sure.
Unless we're going into that.
We can. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it was the first, you get there a couple days in advance, adjust to the time. And those are the kind of days where you're doing your practice for, 2 hours, you're doing your film. But then out of that, coach is pretty good about, hey, you get your free time, go hang out, go to the beach, jump on the wall, the cliff, do your thing, enjoy it. Right. You kind of get a little bit more settled in a day before the game. And he's like, hey, now it's business. But you have 2 to 3 days to hang out, and then you're enjoying the time with all the 8 teams that are there, right? So there's events, dinners, you're playing cornhole, like competitions, like MSU versus Kansas, like, Gonzaga, whoever's there. I know at Memphis, Auburn there. I'm sure they're playing all these games together, and it's kind of like, hey, we're all hanging out. We're all cool right now. And then, a couple of days later, when there's a day before the game, that's when it gets a little bit more serious, and you're in the film room, you're doing your walkthroughs. And then, but it's fun. It is a lot of fun. That was the most fun tournament I've been to.
I almost hate to ask this question, but like I am curious, and apologies if we've brought this up in past conversations. I know you've been on the show a few times, but what does happen hypothetically? Not saying this happened to you guys at all. What does happen if you lose though? Like, does the pool just get drained? Does Izzo himself take a bucket and empty out all the water in the pool? Are you guys like solitary confinement in your rooms, no more fun the rest of the trip? Or does he kind of like 24-hour rule be like, all right, I'm really upset right now, but still go have your fun? What's that like after? Again, hypothetically, you guys lose.
Good question. I didn't think that you'd ask. So our
hypothetical.
Yeah. So we did experience that. So we had our fun. We had our fun. We got upset first round. It was Virginia Tech, right? It was Virginia.
Landers Nolly had 1,000 points in that.
Yeah, he couldn't miss.
Virginia Tech. Yeah,
he couldn't miss. So that was an upset, right? We were expecting to, we wanted to play. I believe it. I forget who was on the other side. I think it was Kansas or maybe Dayton.
Okay.
That's when Obi Toppin had his come out party, and everyone was like, this guy's pretty insane. He tore Maui down that tournament, but then so we end up losing to Virginia Tech, and no fun after that. It was all just like you said, kind of, we're boxing our room, boxing the film room, walkthroughs. And the thing is too, we played, I think it was a little bit later game with the loss. Now we have to play the early game. So, we're waking up at 5:30 a.m. back to film, back to breakfast, back to walkthrough. And then we're out to play our game. And now we win, we're 1-1, right? We can't come out of that weekend 1-2.
Okay.
So we still backs against the wall. Played Georgia. Anthony Edwards went off for 40.
Yes.
We were up by 20. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen in person. He was shooting from half court. He was
unbelievable that game. Yes.
We played 2 players that went Virginia Tech, the 4 that just couldn't miss a 3. Right. And then Anthony Edwards the next day, who just went unconscious. And,
nuclear. Yeah.
Almost lost a 20-point lead with I think there was 15 minutes in the second half, and we were up 20. They damn near tied it. It's because he couldn't miss. It was crazy. So, Yeah. After that, same thing. We can't go 1-2 now in this tournament, or else the season you just start like there's a big momentum swing in a season based on this turn. It's a big deal, if we lost today, now we got to play UConn tomorrow. Think about that, and then you lose that, you can't go 0-3, right? Not saying that we would lose, but if we did, you could possibly go 0-3, and it'd be a costly weekend, especially when you're shooting for March. Those are the things that we're looking at. So you take care of business, and I'm sure the boys right now are having a little bit more fun than we did.
I'll say it because I'm a coward, and all the listeners and viewers know that. Like, I get very scared of anything, but I did text a few of my buddies, like, we have to win this game, or there's a very, very, very realistic shot of leaving this island 0-3. Because, again, like you said, UConn, you think Hurley's going to have those boys ready to play tomorrow? I'm betting my life savings on UConn to cover whatever the spread is going to be tomorrow against Colorado. And then the bottom half of this bracket, it is just 4 dogs at the bottom. So good to get a win early on here. That was scary. Connor,
it was a big win. It was a big win. I was thinking the same thing, and I'm just looking at it, and I'm like, hey, we this is a must win right now. And people don't think that, but it is.
Yes. Kind of ridiculous to say in November, but look, this is an opportunity where you can get 1, 2, maybe even 3 good quad 1, quad 2 wins. And you can't strike out and go over 3 on that right off the bat. So gracious that they took advantage and they beat Colorado. How long do you guys stay in Maui? Like, are you guys back on the plane right after your last game ends, or do you guys have Thanksgiving out there, or what was it like at least 5 years ago when you guys were out there?
Yeah, so we would do